Thank you for joining us today for Cape Chronicle. I'm Audra Kane. In this episode, we will be talking with Clark Summers, Cape County's election authority, and Katrina Amos from the Regional Airport. That's all ahead on Cape Chronicle.
Being a dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise!
Right!
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Welcome to Cape Chronicle. I'm Audra Kane. It's almost that time again for voters across the country to weigh in on issues and candidates on the November 6th ballot. Here to talk with us about the voting process and nonpartisan options to learn more about the issues is Cape Girardeau County Clerk Clark Summers. Kara, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So as the county clerk, how long have you served as the county clerk? Because you are an elected official,
I
correct?
am, and thank you. I've been here serving for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, and the county clerk is kind of a misnomer because clerk, you think of someone that's just like an administrative assistant or something along those lines, but you're actually more of like a business administrator for the county. There are a lot of responsibilities in your office, yes?
Yes. We are very busy throughout the year. We are kind of the business administrative offices for the county. We issue notaries. If anybody is a notary, commissioned notary officer for the state of Missouri, we issue those. We do liquor license for the county. We issue all of the assessed valuations to all of the entities within Cape Girardeau County. And then one of our major functions is running elections.
And then there's also things like tax books that your office is responsible for,
yes,
right?
Yes.
What about human resources? Is there something that falls into the human resources
Yes,
department?
human resources and payroll are all under my purview, and we do have a director now of human resources, but all of those things run through me. So not only do you have to know about payroll and human resources and elections, you have to know all of these various laws and things surrounding all of those. So it is a full-time, very committed job.
And how many staff do you have in the county clerk's office?
There's 4 in my office directly, and then we have 2 in our HR and payroll department now.
Oh, okay. So
as of recently.
So
yes.
6 employees that fall under your purview, and then you also have all the county employees that you have to consider their payroll, et cetera. So
yes.
Interesting, because I think that there are a lot of people who don't know that much about what the county clerk's office does. They think, oh, well, that's just where I get this done. And then,
That's
like
fair.
you said, voting is partly your office's responsibility. Is a lot of that mandated by the state?
A lot of it is legislatively mandated, but of course there's a lot of things that just fall under the purview and is up to our discretion as far as how many election judges to have at the polling location, things like that. So we have to take into account for past elections, how many voters we think are going to turn out, and those kinds of things to prepare for the election.
And so you're responsible for the voting judges. That's the people that sit there and take your voter registration card and kind of check you in and hand you
Yes.
your ballot. do they get paid to do that?
It's a very minimal fee, and basically they're public servants and they are there conducting this election because they enjoy doing this public service. They do get paid $100 for a regular judge for the 14-hour day plus hours that they put in, or $120 for supervisory judges. But like I said, that's a very small stipend for.
Okay. So speaking of voting, it's coming up on November the 6th. There is already, I know, a sample ballot up on the county's election website, and that's CapeCountyElections.com, right?
Yes, CapeCountyElections.com.
So I took the time, and I'm going to pull my phone out because I took the time to go to the website and see whether it was difficult to navigate or easy to navigate. And one of the funny things was that it actually was great because it had buttons and everything from registering to vote to finding out about the absentee ballot, and even after the election they can find out what the results are right there.
So was it easy?
Yeah, it was really easy. It was
Good.
really easy, and I was kind of surprised. So I thought that was great, because anything that you can do, I'm sure that you would probably agree, to make it easier for people to register or to, vote by absentee or find out where their polling place is probably key.
Thank you for saying that, because this year we made it a priority to work on our website, and we had that all redone where it was mobile friendly, and we are trying to drive more traffic to our website for informational purposes.
Well, you said you only have 4 people in your main office, and so when it comes election time, they have all their other responsibilities, and then you add on elections, and there's at least 2 a year that you're responsible for, right?
Yes, this year we'll have 3 elections, plus we had a smaller mail-in election, so that it just all adds up, but yes.
So you brought a sample ballot for the November 6th election.
Yes.
And not only are you on there, but there are a number of other candidates, but there are also some constitutional amendments for the state of Missouri that are coming up.
Yes, and we encourage people to familiarize themselves with those before they go to the polls. And yes, there are 4 constitutional amendments and 3 propositions on the November ballot.
One of several of them apply to a hot button issue, which is medical marijuana. And am I wrong in thinking people need to familiarize themselves with what those are?
They do, because there's different applications to each of those, which different tax rates that would be applied to that, and different causes that those would go to, and just a lot of intricacies on those different propositions. So.
Of course, they might also want to vote no on all of them. It depends on where they fall in the spectrum of choice or not. Is there anything on the website that you think it makes it easier for voters? I mentioned polling places earlier. Is there an easy way to find where they go to vote?
You can go on our website, and it connects you to a link through the Secretary of State's office that you can put in your address and find out if you're registered in your polling location. We also, if you cannot find it, because sometimes it has to be exact, we encourage people to contact our office before Election Day so they can get those things worked out. We have been very busy already proceeding up to this election, so I do think we're going to have a very large turnout on Election Day.
And I'm depending on where you live is what you're voting on, right?
Yes, exactly. So you may have different state representative districts that you live in. In our county, that would be the only thing separating on this ballot is the different 146 and 147 state representative districts. And a lot of people do not know exactly which district they live in because of those lines. It's on their voter card. They can also contact our office, and we can tell them exactly who their state representative is, because the way the lines are drawn, sometimes I might live across the street from somebody who's in a different representative district. So
I noticed when you came in that you're wearing a vote
I
shirt.
thought it was appropriate for the show today.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So in preparation for the coming voting in November the 6th, because it's all over the news. I mean, people are being
Yes.
inundated with get out and vote. It's very important to exercise those duties. What have you had to do in your office to prepare for this? What kinds of things, besides just getting the sample ballot up on the website or putting it out to the press, what else is there that you have to do?
Well, it's the preparation of the ballot itself and getting that, everything that's going to be on our ballot, because we also have our general election. We're also having the special election for sheriff is on this ballot as well. So every ballot in the state is not just alike. So we have to format our ballots, send that all to our printer, proof that, and then also sit down and figure out the numbers we're going to order. We've already been doing that. Setting up trainings for our election judges, just preparing and wholly for the election. It's a lot of responsibility. We've been preparing for this election for several weeks now.
Are there other things as far as publicity that the county is required to do, or do you, as the clerk, decide whether you're going to put out PSAs or billboards, things like that?
Statutorily, there are requirements. We publish it in the newspaper the second Tuesday prior to the election, and then the Tuesday prior to the election. We publish those in the paper, a sample ballot. And a lot of people cut those out and they take those to the polls with them. But we're trying to do a lot of other things, like having that available at least 6 weeks prior on our website. Also on our Facebook page, Cape Girardeau County Elections. It's only an informational page only. That's been really good, and it's been very popular with everyone. Just putting that out there, what the dates are and different things that we have going on surrounding elections only.
What is the deadline to register to vote?
For this November 6th election, it's October the 10th by 5 p.m.
And what if they want to vote by absentee? Say they're a college student in another town and they want to vote by absentee.
So
When do they do
today's
that?
kind of a big day. Today's National Voter Registration Day. We had a voter registration drive in participation with the League of Women Voters at the university. And also absentee voting began today. For the election 6 weeks prior is today. Today is the Tuesday. So they can either do it in person in our office, and we have an office in Jackson at the County Administration Office, and we also have a satellite office in Cape Girardeau at 2311 Bloomfield Road, Suite 102.
Okay, and so they can pick up their absentee ballot there.
Vote it in the office. They cannot walk out with the ballot. They can either vote it in person or they can request the ballot by mail.
And then they mail it in.
Yes,
Okay.
if they are not disabled or have any kind of illness or confined due to illness or caring for someone with an illness, they would have to have that ballot notarized if they received it by mail and then mailed it back in.
Okay, a lot of great information. CapeCountyElections.com.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for
in,
having
Kara.
me, and we
It's been
encourage
great.
everybody to get on that site and to call our office if they have questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Kara Clark Summers, County Clerk. Thanks again for coming
No,
by.
thank you.
On the way, get to know your regional airport and Deputy Manager Katrina Amos. That's next on Cape Chronicle.
Fast-paced family life in need of a slowdown?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Did you know all those green shapes on maps are parks and forests? It's true. Visit discovertheforest.org and plan to visit a park or forest near you, instead of just wondering what it would have been like.
While the word forest might make you think of distant lands from far, far away, please note parks and forests are closer than you think, which means things like beautiful scenery, fresh air, and family time are also closer than you think.
I'm Rudy Tempesta. I'm 92 years old. I fought in World War II. Then I came home, worked for the post office for 70 years. I've been getting Meals on Wheels, and I enjoy it. The most important thing about Meals on Wheels is you meet the people, which to me is fantastic. You need people to keep your brain moving. That's what life is about. It's love and having a conversation with people.
Hey, let's check out this park. Wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Cape Chronicle. I'm Audrey Kane. We are joined now by the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport's Deputy Manager, Katrina Amos. Katrina, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, so there have been a lot of things in the news recently about the airport and some changes that are being made. But before we get to that, I actually kind of wanted to get to know you a little bit better. How long have you been serving at the airport?
I started with the airport in 2008. I was the administrative coordinator and knew nothing about aviation, but I started learning a lot really fast. So worked my way up through the years, and 3 years ago I became the deputy airport manager.
Okay, and so as deputy airport manager, what does that mean that you're responsible for?
It's basically the number two, at the airport. I assist Bruce with the day-to-day operations, and in his absence, I feel his responsibility. So.
Okay, so when Bruce Loy is gone, you are the go-to person.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said that you learned a lot. It's been 10 years now. You probably belong to some sort of a professional organization for airport management.
Right. I just recently actually became a certified member for the Airport Association of Airport Executives. It was a 5-week course. Took me a long time. I went to Denver, Colorado, and did a training with them, and I'm a certified member, so I'm really excited about that.
That is exciting,
Yeah.
because what does that afford you as far as your job goes?
It was a deep dive into airport management. So it taught me everything from leases, infrastructure management, and just the overall operation of airports. Airports are different throughout the country, so they basically modeled it on a larger airport. So, we work at a smaller, the regional airport. But for someone like me, I want to know about, Denver Airport or St. Louis Lambert Airport. And that helps me better do my job.
Well, and I'm sure that there are a lot of federal regulations. I mean, you all have screening there for the transportation.
Transportation Security Administration.
Yes, TSA. The TSA. I was trying to think of what it was called.
It is a mouthful. Yes.
There is a lot that happens, even at a small regional airport, that you have to, manage. And
absolutely. As well as being a certified member of AAAE, I'm also the Airport Security Coordinator for the Transportation Security Administration. With that being said, I'm the liaison, and so any new legislation or requirements that come out through TSA, I'm responsible for making sure the airport, adheres to them and that we carry them out.
Pretty important and some complicated stuff, I'm sure.
It can be pretty tricky sometimes.
So there have been, I mentioned this earlier, there have been some changes going on, and part of that is with the carrier that's at the airport. A switch happened. When did the switch over to the newer carrier happen?
We switched over to SkyWest Airlines, doing business as the United Express, in December of 2017.
Okay, so it hasn't been a full year. And how have things been going with that as far as the number of boardings that have been happening?
Things have gone really well. It started off kind of slow because we were in the winter months, so we kind of expected it would start slow, but I would say around April of this year, things started to really pick up, and we had some really good months. Our highest month was 915 passengers that left the airport, and that was in the month of July. So that was a really good month.
That number is important. We'll circle back to that in a little bit. But the difference in the carrier, there are probably some people who may not have even known that the carrier changed that flies out of the Cape Girardeau Airport. But also there are some services they offer on the United that maybe weren't offered before.
Right. We were with Cape Air. We started with Cape Air in 2009, and they were a fantastic air carrier. We had them for 9 wonderful years. They flew a Cessna 402, which was a 9-passenger aircraft. The highest number of passengers we were ever able to have leave the airport was like 6,500. When we switched to SkyWest, the main change was a regional jet. It's a 50-passenger aircraft. We have a lavatory.
you have a flight attendant, it put us into a category to where we could now compete and become a primary airport, hopefully, in the near future.
Well, and that makes it a lot easier to connect with some of those larger flights. And so right now, flying out of Cape Girardeau, you go to what main destination?
We go to Chicago O'Hare.
Okay, so going to Chicago, there was a stop in Quincy. Is that still existent, that you can catch a flight through Quincy?
Right. As of right now, we are still flying through Quincy, Illinois to Chicago. However, beginning January 7th, we have some exciting news in that we will be going to Chicago via Paducah, Kentucky. So with that change, we also add a third flight daily. So we add more frequency. And we also add another flight on the weekend. As of right now, we only have one departing flight on Saturday, none returning. So with this change, it adds more frequency and then the additional flight on Saturday.
So there were no returning flights on Saturday.
That is correct.
Okay, so that would be like the pilot might deadhead, as they say, in Chicago and then not return until Sunday.
Correct.
Okay, so that's awesome, because then that opens up weekend transportation for people that want to get into Chicago or catch a flight to somewhere else through Chicago.
It became really confusing because we would have a lot of passengers that want to use the service, but when they would go into the system and put in that they want to return on Friday or Saturday, it would tell them that wasn't available. And so that kind of made people a little leery. Well, why is that not available? So we would have to explain to them, you can come back on Sunday, but you can't come back Saturday. So now they have that option, and I think it's going to open up, a whole new world for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm curious too about. And we'll circle back to that number, because you said 915 one month this year with the new carrier. That number comes into play because there is a goal.
Right.
And what is that goal?
The goal is to get to 10,000 enplanements or passengers leaving the airport per year. When you reach that 10,000 number, it opens us up to be considered a primary airport, which guarantees us $1 million in grant funds from the Federal Aviation Administration. That's huge for us. That would help us improve our infrastructure, help rehab some of the buildings that we have out there, and it just would help us out operationally.
When you say operationally, would that also include doing some publicity outreach as far as the airport is concerned?
That's a separate grant. That's something that we get with MoDOT, Missouri Department of Transportation, through the jet fuel sales tax. They award every year. As long as it reaches a certain threshold, then they will award different airports a certain amount of money. This year we were awarded $80,000.
Oh my goodness!
Towards marketing the air service. So that's something we already get, and it's really helpful to us because we don't have a big budget. So with that additional funding, it helps us get the word out there.
Well, and now my mind is spinning because I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. There's a carrier that goes to Chicago, which opens up even more as far as international students coming to Southeast Missouri State, and politicians and various industry coming in and out of Cape Girardeau. I mean, you're probably seeing a whole lot more in business travel, but is there more in tourism travel as well?
We've seen a mix. So it's been a lot of business travel. It's been more so than leisure with the SkyWest airline than it was with Cape Air. Cape Air was mostly leisure because it was a little cheaper. Right now, you can book a flight 14 days in advance, $59 one way.
Oh, nice.
So it's still pretty affordable, but we have seen a slight change in the passenger that's using the facility.
Okay. Well, and you mentioned the $80,000 grant, and so that goes for public relations. Is there something else that can also be used for?
It's mostly for air service promotion, just getting the word out, and not just about the airline, but the airport in general. We have a lot of really good things at the airport. We have a lot of general aviation traffic that people don't realize. A lot of the businesses here in the community would not come here if it wasn't for having a safe, reliable airport to fly into. We have to maintain our infrastructure and keep everything in tip-top shape so that they feel comfortable to utilize our services.
And hence the importance of having that 10,000 departures threshold met in order to maintain those. I know that there are also private facilities for pilots or owners of aircraft on site, and how does that work? You talked about learning about leases. Is that part of that?
Yeah, that's part of that. So we have a variety of different leases. We have a standard T-hanger lease where, some, just normal person that has their own plane just wants a place to store it. So we have a regular T-hanger lease for that. Then we also have those that utilize the airport for more business purposes, so they maybe want to have their own hangar. So we have ground leases available to those customers as well.
And you mentioned services at the airport. There's a restaurant there.
That is correct.
I don't know that everybody.
Yes,
a very good restaurant, because we used to go every week. There's a great restaurant there, and a lot of people will drive out. Are there other facilities close by that, or within the airport, that maybe people don't know about?
I think people need to realize that we have a lot of options for those that are interested in flying. We have Cape Copters, which is a helicopter flight training school. We have Skybound Aviation for those who maybe are not interested in becoming a private pilot but want something more light sport. And then we also have Cape Air Charter that offers the more traditional pilot's license options.
As an administrator at the airport, is there anything about it that you have learned over the past 10 years that you had absolutely no idea went on at an airport?
If you have time, I can tell you.
I have a couple minutes.
Aviation is just always changing. One thing that has popped up here over the last couple of years that's taken off, that has been the drones. Drones have been really, they've become popular, not just hobbyists, but also for commercial usage. So we're trying to learn, that world and navigate that a little bit better. I took the drone pilot class, and so we're just working to try to better understand that and be on the forefront for the changes that are coming ahead.
Well, it sounds like you all are prepared and working really to make sure that the airport is financially stable and viable for the foreseeable future. So, well, Katrina, it was really nice chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming in, and excited to learn about the new programs and finances that are coming into the airport. Thank you again to Deputy Manager of the Cape Regional Airport, Katrina Amos, and thank you for joining us today for Cape Chronicle. The program is a collaboration between the Department of Mass Media at Southeast Missouri State University and the City of Cape Girardeau. Our producer is Nicolette Brennan, the Public Information Officer for the City of Cape Girardeau. Our executive producer is Dr. Jim Dufek. I'm Audra Kane. Thanks for watching.